What's going on? Casa here with a Nioh 2 Save Wizard Advanced Mode tutorial. Before I begin, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, do me a favor and hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe to my channel as well. All your support is greatly appreciated. In addition to that, I want to formally apologize to all of my subs. I know I had planned on releasing this video a long time ago after 1.21 dropped, after update 1.21 dropped. But unfortunately, got a little sidetracked, started experimenting with streaming a little bit and whatnot, and so here we are today. So again, to my subs, I want to formally apologize for the long wait, but we're finally here with this long-awaited advanced mode tutorial video regarding some of the changes to modifying your equipment. So here we go. So one of the biggest changes that we saw was the suddenly footer 7F03 was necessary for us to use when trying to modify equipment in the game. Now, does that mean you have to use footer 7F03 every single time you modify a piece of equipment? Obviously, it's been about a month or so since 1.21 dropped, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know that you don't need 7F03 on all of your on every single footer in order to modify your equipment. If you don't know, now you do. The only time you absolutely have to have 7F03 as a footer on your equipment is when you're using multiples of any particular special effect on your piece of equipment. So for example, if you decide you wanted to make a piece of equipment like a helmet with 7 slots or 7 rows of attack plus 78, you need to make sure that each footer on those effects ends with 7F03. And this is like no exceptions. It doesn't matter if it's a helmet, melee weapon, accessory, soul core, scroll. It doesn't matter. If you are going to use multiples of any effect on one specific item, you need to make sure that those items have the footer 7F03 attached to them. Doesn't matter what slot it is, doesn't matter where on the item it is, it doesn't matter what effect it is. If you're going to use multiples, 7F03 needs to be the footer for each of those specific effects on that piece of equipment. So because soul cores were like the biggest issue, post patch 1.21, today I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about regarding footer 7F03 with our good friend Gaki here. So I already got advanced mode pulled up. As you can see here, 6.2 BC is the Gaki Soul Core. Okay, so again, like I said, if you watched my previous tutorials, then you already know exactly what happens next. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend too much time explaining all of this. So let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit. Alright, so as you can see, this is a run-of-the-mill Gaki Soul Core. You can see here that it's got 3 empty slots, slot 5, slot 6, and slot 6, and slot 7. Okay? Alright, so before I go ahead and get started on that, let me show you really quick what it looks like in the game. As I mentioned before, it's a run-of-the-mill Gaki Soul Core. It's got Anima Charge, Life Drain, Yokai Ability, and Soul Core Drop Rate. So the plan today is we're going to go ahead and obviously just modify it. So let's go and get started.
What the hell?
Alright, so slot 1, we're going to go ahead and put in attack. And of course, 7F03. These are the first 2 slots, so those are going to by default get the 7F03 footer no matter what. So slot 2, we'll go ahead and put ninjutsu. Oh, actually, what's another good one that I could use? Let me see. Hold on.
Shut up.
Oh yeah, we'll put melee damage versus Purified Enemy, that's OB50. Same thing. Hold on a second, maybe yeah, there's 7F03. Okay. Then a melee attack key consumption, ACAC, 7F02. Okay. Then we have melee damage critical, 1EA4. Go ahead, 7F02. Okay. And then for our so we got the 3 slots left, okay? So remember, slots 6 and 7 of, so all soul cores, if you remember from one of my tutorials, all soul cores have 7 slots, okay? So we're going to modify all 3 slots to have, what's a good one that we could use? Off the top of my head. We will do, let me see. Let me see. Let's see. Sorry about that, folks. Here we go. Special effects critical. Okay. Special effects critical is 5F2C. Hold on a second. 5F2C is going to be special effects critical. So 5F2C 000 7F03. Okay, pay attention. I'm gonna do it again. 5F2C 7F03. One more time. 2C 7F03. Now, if this is your first tutorial video that you're watching and you notice that I'm putting a bunch of zeros or whatever the case is, let me break that down for you really, really quick, okay? So here we have, I'm gonna try to highlight it as best as I possibly can with this Genki setup that I got. But here I have, let me see. Hold on a second. Okay, so here's the effect. Essentially, the effect, the special effect, or the first special effect on any item is typically going to start here, okay? And it usually goes, I want to call it bytes. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bytes, and then starting here, this line of code. I swear, I'm sorry, guys. This line of code is the magnitude of the effect. Now, essentially what that means is, like, for instance, if you have like an attack plus 78, you can set the magnitude from anywhere from 1 to 78 using the magnitude area of the effect. Once you're done with that, once you're done with that, you move over to the footer. Essentially what the footer does, it just locks the effect in place, okay? Now, because we typically, since we're modifying our gear, 99% of the time we typically default to using 7F03 or 7F02. And what that does is it gives us the maximum amount for that effect. It maximizes the effect. Whatever it may be. So essentially, the magnitude is irrelevant. You can set the magnitude to FFFF. You can set the magnitude to 1111. Doesn't matter what you do. Once you input that footer at 7F02 or 7F03, it's going to maximize the effect. So you don't ever have to mess with the magnitude. You need to only worry about the effect itself, which is usually going to be the first 4 numbers, or the first 4, the first 4 hex values right here, and then the footer, which is usually going to be right here in the middle, which ends at 7F02, 7F03, okay? Now, moving forward, as you can see here, I've already changed all the last 3 effects to 5F2C, which is special effects critical at 6%. And the footers all read at 7F03, 7F03, 7F03. Okay? So if I did everything correctly, when I upload my save to my PS4, all this is going to be modified. It's going to be different. Okay? If I didn't do it correctly, then what's going to happen is when I upload my save again, it'll basically look like this, but maybe some different special effects. Like it might have yokai ability damage, brute, and soul core drop rate, just regular soul core drop rate instead of the yokai shift variation. Okay, so let's see what happens. It's downloading right now, so just got to give it a few moments. This is the boring part. I told myself I was going to have some kind of like music playing the next time I decided to go ahead and do this, but I figured, well, I didn't figure anything, I honestly just forgot, so my bad. Alright, so we're uploading the save to the PS4 as we speak, and then we got to go through the fun part of waiting for everything to load. This is one of the main reasons why I really do hope we can get Save Wizard on the PS5 or some kind of save editor on the PS5, because I would love to be able to modify and update and do all that stuff and edit my saves with lightning fast SSD capabilities and all that other good jargon and whatnot. Alright, so we got everything loading, so it won't be too much longer. Maybe just another couple of moments. Let's check it out. All right. All right. So we are at the loading screen. We hit continue. All right, so let's see what we got. Items. All right, y'all ready? Boom. See there? All right, so attack, melee damage, special effects critical, melee attack key consumption, and melee damage critical, just like we wanted. Now, how do you know if the slots 6 and 7 actually stayed where they were supposed to? Well, one sure way to tell is simply by looking at the special effects critical, or in your case, whatever it is that you decided to make, whatever it is you decided to add on your soul core. So in this instance, special effects critical, which was on slot 5, got bumped up to slot 3. Okay, in advanced mode, it's still going to be on slot 5, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but because I normally don't like check again, but theoretically it should still be on slot 5. Okay, but if it isn't and it got moved up to slot 3, well, then this is why. Simply because of the new changes made to advanced mode after patch 1.21. Okay? So another way to tell if you're not 100% sure just by looking at it is you could just simply equip the soul core. So equip the soul core. 6 times 3 is what? 18, right? So if we go to our special effects screen and look for special effects critical, it will say 18%. All right. Okay. Now I had somebody. Now I had a couple people asking me questions regarding soul cores, as far as what caveats there may be and so on and so forth. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, the safest thing is to go ahead and commit 3 slots of that soul core to a particular effect. Now, what does that mean? It simply means, actually, you know what? Scratch that. If you're going to modify slots 6 and 7, you got to make sure on the soul, this is particularly for the soul core. If you're going to modify slots 6 and 7, you got to make sure that of those two effects that you're going to add to slot 6 and 7, you need to make sure that one of the effects, any of the effects on the soul core are the same. So, for example, if let's say you're gonna do slot 6 and 7 with Omeo Magic Power and Omeo Untouched Omeo Magic, right? You got to make sure that whatever slots those are from slots 1 through 5 on the soul core have that 7F03 footer on them. Okay? The reason being is because if you decide to just put 7F03 on slot 6 and 7, hoping that it'll lock everything in place, because one of those effects aren't locked, what's going to wind up happening is you're going to upload the save, and then all the effects are just going to be reset. So make sure that anytime you're doing, particularly with your soul cores, anytime you're doing trying to modify slot 6 and 7, if it's all the same effect, like as you can see here, special effect critical. If you're gonna do slots 5, 6, and 7 with special effect critical, fine, 7F03 for that, and then you're good. But if it just so happens to be a situation where you're deciding to do 2 different special effects on those last 2 slots on the soul core, you got to make sure that on slots 1 through 5, on the what you see visible on screen has the lock as well. Okay, all right. So if I'm, it seems like I'm done talking y'all's ears off. Once again, I don't want to, sound like a broken record, but I want to apologize for this video taking as long as it did. But again, hopefully this will help answer any questions that you have. Remember, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this information applies to anything that you try to modify within the game with advanced mode for Nioh 2. Okay? And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a piece of armor, it doesn't matter if it's a soul core or a scroll or an accessory, it doesn't matter. If you're going to use multiples of any sort on any part of your equipment, you need to make sure that 7F03 is the footer. Okay? So, if you all got any questions, comments, or concerns, you all know what to do. With all that being said, you all have yourselves a wonderful day. Casa, out.